Hi everybody, welcome to this Quick 9 general wind direction playthrough for the division and dates shown on screen right now. All 9 holes, timestamps in the description down below. Please hit thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Remember to check out our channel homepage. There is daily Quick 9 content available for multiple divisions. Please remember some of these replays may be from the time before Playdemic changed the attribute levels. Now, with enough tailwind in this hole, you can actually be cheap, and I'm going to show you a shot with the Titan in this wind angle. P6 max stretch, bullseye is shown in the middle of that fairway strip, and then we're adding our spin. We're going with 5.8 top spin and 2 right spin. The reason I'm using the Titan is because I want the extra wind push. You can, of course, use a berserker as well, but then it makes the second shot harder. If you don't have this amount of tailwind, though, I would suggest you lay up either on that middle fairway, dodging the water or the sand, or you play out to the fairway to the right. The disadvantage of using the right side, though, is you have quite a downhill approach, and it would be with your wood club. Full overpower, slow needle, perfect ball away. Bouncing where we were aiming, stretched out, and we want to get a good roll out here. Just making it out there is a risk of a dead bounce, so the adjustment was max plus 5. If you've got more topspin available, of course, you should use it. Second shot with the thorn. The good thing about going aggressively here is we can play with the thorn, find the min and the max line. Alternatively, get yourself a reference check in tournament mode. If you're getting a pin check or a fringe check, that will help you narrow down some slider percentages. But if not, estimating is a decent opportunity, maybe not as good as finding a reference check though. Setting up on the fringe for the best bounce here, and then spin as needed in tailwind to get the ball guide just short of the cup, because the tailwind is going to push us on more than is shown by the ball guide. I estimate this to be around mid-distance. I'm going to play with 10% elevation, and that's what I would use as a starting point in all wind angles. A very, very close miss here, just a little tweak needed to the aim or a correction of pull angle. Obviously, if you're playing into headwind or crosswind, you need to adapt the position of the ball guide accordingly, but a very good chance playing aggressively for the eagle. No real hazards to worry about on this par 3, and a decent chance with the sniper in all wind angles. I start by adding my backspin in this wind angle. I go with 3 bars of backspin and have the ball guide through the hole, aiming with the bullseye in the middle of the rough and the fringe on that section of fairway. Then I add some left spin to compensate for the wind angle here. It does need a tweak based on the miss in the video, but it gives you something to work from. Always coming in a bit hot as well with this attempt, so I would increase the backspin slightly and maybe play 3.5 backspin and maybe 1.2 to 1.5 left spin when you have wind angle coming in from left to right. Obviously, it would be the opposite with wind going from right to left. Adjust max plus 10. And we're bouncing pretty much near to where we're aiming, just a little bit of a tweak needed to the spin for a decent attempt on this par 3. With the par 5s here, I'm just looking for safe eagle play. We're starting at plus 10 with APOC 5 and above, blue ring touching the rough with APOC 5 and 6, adding spin, 5.8 top spin and 3 bars side spin to the right. Adjustment max plus 0, power 3. If you have APOC level 4, you start at P3 max rest, and you would have approximately 30% of the blue ring inside the rough because of less accuracy. Make our adjustment, and then we're going with 1.25 ball curl to the right. Look at the edge of the Kingmaker touching the outside tip of the triangle, and it is just before the circle drops as our overpower reference. Bouncing nicely away from the rough, over and down the middle of the next fairway. We're looking for a drive distance here of approximately 365 to 370. Second shot is going to be with the Cataclysm or the Big Dog, and we're going to add spin, and I'm going with 6.2 top spin and 1 left spin. Here with the Cat 6, I'm boxing in the red ring with the rough and the sand, but just use that as a reference. Try and set up kind of comfortably away from both so that you're not going to risk either of them with accidental overpower or a great left. Mid plus 0 here from this position. I'm not really going to bother with any slider percentage here, just a general elevation of mid plus 0, because like I said, I'm just looking to get safely to the green with a free-to-play ball for the eagle. Bouncing very nicely, and the topspin is taking us on to the green there, and we're going to get a putt, nice mid-distance putt for the eagle. Nice tailwind angle here, so we're going to go aggressively with a berserker at P10, max rest position there with my APOC. You don't have to have an APOC level 7. You could actually do this with an APOC 5 and maybe even APOC 4 with a push-up afterwards. So we're adding a couple of bars of backspin and 2 right spin. You would need to vary the backspin depending on your wind strength though here, because obviously with these high winds up in Basta, it is going to have more of an effect on the flight of the ball. So more wind, I would play with more backspin so you don't overshoot. Max plus 10, then we are pushing up and going with about 1 1/4 ball of curl to the right. No overpower. Make sure you don't accidentally overpower this shot. As with all blast shots, though, you will need to tweak this according to wind angle. We are carrying the rough really nicely and rolling just before the fringe here, which is going to leave us a very easy chip, and we're going to play End Bringer School method. We've got videos on this. You can learn the entire method in around 5 minutes on the Academy tutorial playlist on the channel homepage. If you don't know what it is, then very quickly here, you stretch your target to max and look at where the pin stands. I estimate the pin to be 40% from my ball to max distance of my club, so I'm going to play this 40% on the slider, and we're going to go 20% elevation using the same power settings as the ball you're using. So using power 10 numbers, no spin, ball guide to hole. Be careful here for glitch spots on the green. Apply a little bit of spin if you need to work around it. And obviously if you don't have tailwind, you're going to lay up and play a short iron rings from min. Now, if you want to support us on Patreon, you can do so. Details on the screen now. As part of your perks on certain days for the Quick Nines, there will be some Patreon exclusive Master General playthroughs for those holes used. So make sure you check us out there. Tricky little par 3 to get right here. I'm setting up with the sniper at P0 max rest. That is just before plus yards if you don't want to use a power 0 ball. Blue ring touching the rough on the left. We're going with 5 backspin and 1 bar of right spin in this wind angle. You can see there the ball guide stopping short of pin because the wind is hopefully going to push us into the hole with this wind angle. You will need to vary the spins according to the wind angle you have, but you will have room to adjust in all wind angles using this starting position. Adjustment here is 1 to 1. So for an 11 mile per hour wind, I'm going to adjust a total of 11 rings on this one. Making our adjustment, and then it is time to take our shot. We are going to go with no curl, but I am using some underpower to counteract the tailwind push here, and you can see it's just before circle break underpower. Perfect ball away, and then we are landing nicely on that flattish piece of fairway. Just a small tweak needed, but the speed is very good on this very difficult par 3. 2 types of play to suggest on this par 5. The first is looking at a nasty wind angle. I'm going to set up with the quarterback first, and I'm having the blue ring touching the rough on the left at the top of plus 6 yards. Then switch to APOC and sniper bag, and I'm going to add 5.8 topspin and 3 left spin to make this shot playable with clubs as low as APOC 4, or indeed you could play this with extra mile 8 if you don't have the apocalypse, doesn't matter. Once we've done our club swap and added spin, we then adjust maximum distance with 10% elevation. APOC 4 extra mile is going to have a shaky needle here, but for APOC 5 and above, it's not too shaky at all. We're going to go with full overpower and half a ball of curl to the left. Hitting perfect here. Obviously, if you've got level crosswind, you can set up with your APOC at max distance with less topspin. But the reason I'm using the quarterback is so we can go with full overpower and a slower needle. Second shot is going to be hard to drop with the sniper from distance, but we're going to give it a go, and worst case scenario, you will still have an easy putt for your eagle. Try and find a good position here. There is a little sticky spot in the fairway, and then you just need to add your spin accordingly. I'm aiming ball guide to hole here, and then I reduce some of the side spin to give me an offset to compensate for the wind push rather than adjusting a ridiculous amount of rings. Adjustment here, I would play as a general elevation true club distance with 20%. It does need quite a bit of elevation, this one. Obviously, if you can push the drive harder, then you may well be nearer minimum distance of your club, in which case it's less rings to adjust and you've got more control and more chance to drop the shot. So if you can push the drive harder with a nicer wind angle, then by all means do so. But it's useful to have a nasty wind angle in this example so you know what to do, and you can still get the eagle if you're faced with headwind off the tee. Perfect ball, little adjustment needed to the aim or a tweak, coming in nicely, just missing to the right hand side. Now this shot is not for the faint-hearted. You will need to practice it with tokens, as it is a fixed aim hook shot, and you will get different outcomes depending on wind angle and wind strength variance. So I'm just finding my point between the trees, adding 4.2 topspin and 2 left spin with a berserker, full OP, full curl and a full power hook. Like I said though, these shots are very variable. I'm showing it here as an example of what you might try if you've got some tokens and berserkers to spend. You could, though, as well as end up on the green, end up in the rough or the sand. The choice is yours, risk versus reward. Now, although you can support us financially on Patreon, you can also join as a free member. If you do that, you will get bonus master level text guide content from the Coalition. They produce text guides for free every tournament, free to play balls, and we send those out when they do so. And they very kindly agreed to let me share their archives of all the courses used in this season of Quick Nines for you all to use, because there may be some wind angles that you get as part of the Quick Nines that they have in their archive. So you will receive those if you join us as a free member on our Patreon. Here we're going to play with the Kingmaker and the APOC, and we're going to go with 5.8 topspin, 2 right spin. This is all about getting the drive distance correct. Here you may, in some cases, roll down the slope. If you're doing that in practice, then reduce the topspin slightly. Topper +4 with APOC 5 and above. Topper +10 with APOC 4. I've got the clear ring touching the rough with APOC 5 and 6. You will have approximately half of the clear ring overlapping the rough with APOC 4. Max +10. Here I go with circle drop OP, but as I said, if you have more crosswind angle you may not need the OP. It may get you to roll down the slope, so that's why I say take a token or two first, otherwise you might have to play with a different club. So try and build in some tweaks if you can. Ideally you want to stop just before you roll down the big slope there, around 380 yards. Second shot, if you can play with the Grizzly, that's what I've done here as your drop reference. But be prepared to improvise. If you do get a glitch roll down the slope, then you're going to be playing with a Thorn, but it won't endanger the birdie. Adding spin as shown is going to be around 1.5 top spin, 1 left spin. Then we're pushing up rings from min and counting our rings from min until we have the red ring touching the rough. I've pushed up 11 rings from min here. Then I'm finding position with the red ring touching rough and the ball guide offset about half a green square away from the pin. Make sure you try and replicate that offset as best you can, because the wind is going to push us down to the right once we've cleared the rough. Rings from min, 15% elevation, pulling twice over the bullseye here, and 11 rings from min, that was coming out at 14% on the slider. So 14% slider, 15% elevation. Like I said though, try and get a bit more comfortable with the drive. Tweak the spin or the overpower if you're finding yourself rolling down the fairway a little bit too far. And the rings from min here though has been dropping very nicely for the eagle. On this par 3, find your position first, and we want the first point where the yellow ring touches the rough on the left and the right with the quarterback. Then we add spin, and it's going to be a light 3.5 backspin, so call it 3.4, and then here it is 2.2 or 2.3 right spin, but you want to have the tip of the ball guide touching the outside line of the fringe. So make sure you've got the two references there. Your spin amounts might be a click or two removed from what I'm using in the video. It all depends what kind of area you set up with, if you kind of one click high or low. but it's a guide for you to build from. Min plus 15, power 3. I'm not pulling over the bullseye here though, so just doing a standard 5 and then 5.2 to make up my ring adjustments. Minor greats should still be fine here. We'll look at the bounce point right now, comfortably in the middle. Double greats might be a risk though, so try and hit perfect, and subject to any tweaks, a good chance for a hole-in-one with a kingmaker. Hole-in-one here, we're going to play from the minimum distance line with our quarterback and a power 3 ball. Red ring touching the rough on the left. Then I'm adding 1.3 backspin, no side spin. And then time to adjust our rings. Min plus 20, power 2. And I'm not really worrying about pulling over the bullseye. I'm just going to the bullseye, and then for anything remaining, adding the extra on. So I did 10.2 rings here. That was 5.2 plus 5. So I'm not intentionally pulling all the way over the yellow. Perfect ball bouncing comfortably away from the rough, and then finding the gap, rolling onto the green nicely, hitting the pin and falling for the hole-in-one. If you are enjoying the free content here on the channel and want to help out and keep everything free, then please consider making a small donation. All donations are gratefully received and help me out here on the channel, as all of the content here is produced for free in my own spare time. You can do that in one of three ways. You can hit the thanks button here on YouTube, you can make a PayPal donation via the link in the description down below, or you can also join us over on Patreon. Details at the end of the video. 3 good shots needed to get our eagle on this par 5. We're going to drive with the rock, and we're using 4.2 topspin and a little bit of side spin to the right. Aim the ball guide into the middle of that piece of fairway there that just sticks out into the rough. We are at P6 max rest with the rock level 9, white ring touching the rough on the left hand side. We are going to adjust here maximum distance with 10% elevation, centre the ball and hit perfect. Obviously you'll need a little bit more topspin in headwind, so I would then once you've set up with the rock, switch to your APOC and just add a bit more topspin so that you're not short. But actually we've got a bit of room anyway. We could have gone with circle drop overpower, or just before circle drop overpower to get us some more distance. As things are though, we're fine. Second shot, pick either the big dog or the cataclysm, whichever offers you the most topspin, and we are going to go full topspin here and just want to transport ourselves down the fairway so we have a clear shot with our thorn. Adjustment here is max distance, 0 elevation, and to get a few extra yards on this one, I push up to max. Obviously, if you want to push the drive harder, you don't need to do that. I'm going with circle break overpower here. If you push the drive, you don't have to do that. You could actually still push up and reduce the overpower and go with no overpower. It's all about what you feel comfortable with. I would think a minor great ball either side would be fine though, providing you've got a fairly accurate wood club. You can make a pin check here if you've got this wind angle. If not, estimate the distance of your club. Here I was using pin check reference, and plus 5 came out at 70% on the slider. That was what was dropping for me. But if you're playing this without wanting to dial in your own tweaks, then I would play true club distance with 10% elevation. Bit of backspin and a little bit of right spin in this instance to line up the ball guide with the wind angle. You don't have to do that, but I found it worked very nicely here. Ball guide slightly short of the cup because we have tailwind, and obviously that is going to push us with more a bounce than is shown. You've got secondary wind effect, and the opposite with headwind. If you've got headwind here, have that ball guide going through the hole slightly to compensate for the wind push. Perfect ball away with our adjustment, and we drop it for the eagle on this very long par 5. Thanks very much for watching this video here on the channel. If it has helped you in any way, please consider sharing it amongst your friends and clanmates in the game. Join us also on Facebook. Head over there, search for BK Golf Clash and join our free group. Loads of members there sharing shots. Free guides are posted, as well as loads of other great Golf Clash resources. So check us out there. You can join in the discussion and also leave feedback on the game in general. Finally, if you wish to help support the channel and keep the content free for everybody, please consider becoming a Patreon member. The link is in the video description down below. Good luck, see you soon, bye for now.